right, so today we're diving into something pretty profound, an excerpt from the Nanak.
A classic. And a text that always offers some rich insights.
Absolutely. This excerpt is from the chapter titled Uyargnana Darizanam, which translates to Higher Wisdom Realization.
Intriguing.
Right, and what makes this even more interesting is the note you sent along with it. You said, "My modern inference, don't do pujas."
Oh, yes. That caught my eye, too. That's quite the statement.
Yeah, it definitely got me thinking about the relationship between traditional practices and, well, personal understanding. What's your take on that connection?
Well, I think it's a really thought-provoking response to this particular chapter. You know, the Nana Kural, written by Avayar, is a cornerstone of Tamil philosophy. But it's not your typical philosophical text.
How so?
Well, it's structured as a collection of these really poetic verses. They're not always straightforward. You often need to sit with them, contemplate them, to really untangle their meaning.
So we're not talking about a dry academic treatise. This is more nuanced, open to interpretation.
Precisely. And within that context, this chapter, Higher Wisdom Realization, it seems to be exploring the very nature of true enlightenment, spiritual understanding, the kind that goes beyond just the outward rituals.
Which brings us back to our listener's note about pujas. For those who might not be familiar, could you give us a little context? What exactly are pujas?
Of course. In the simplest terms, pujas are rituals in Hinduism where offerings are made to deities. They can be quite elaborate, involving very specific steps, prayers, symbolic gestures, all of that.
And our listener seems to be interpreting higher wisdom realization as a call to move past those outward practices, those pujas, to reach a deeper, more internal wisdom.
Yes, I see how they arrived at that interpretation. It's a question many spiritual traditions grapple with, the balance between the outer and the inner.
So then how, according to the Nanakaral, does one actually achieve this higher wisdom realization? Are there steps, a path laid out?
Well, the Nanak puts a lot of emphasis on self-reflection, on seeking knowledge. There's a verse in Uyargnana Darizanam that stands out. Wisdom is the weapon to ward off destruction. So it's not so much about a literal set of instructions, but more about encouraging this deep introspection, this quest for understanding.
It's interesting because it does challenge, as you said, a lot of assumptions. Many religions have rituals, right?
Yeah.
So is the Nanakaral suggesting they're meaningless.
That's the key question, isn't it? I wouldn't say meaningless necessarily, but it does seem to be emphasizing that the rituals themselves are a means to an end, not the end goal in and of themselves.
I see what you mean. It's about what's going on internally, not just the external actions.
Exactly. It's like, think of reciting a prayer. You can say the words without any feeling behind them, without any true understanding, or you can really connect with something larger than yourself through those words. It's the internal transformation, the understanding, the intention behind the action that truly makes the difference.
It's like the difference between just going through the motions and actually truly infusing your actions with meaning.
Precisely. And, you know, this concept isn't unique to the Nanak rule. Many philosophical and spiritual traditions wrestle with this idea, the primacy of inner transformation.
That's a really good point. This deep dive has definitely given me a lot to ponder. I've struggled with that, honestly, how much weight to give rituals in my own life.
Well,
Am I just doing them out of obligation, or is there a genuine meaning there for me? It's a question worth asking.
absolutely. And, you know, that's the power of engaging with texts like the Nanak Rule. They push us to question, to reflect, and maybe even redefine what we thought we knew.
It's a good reminder that there's always more to learn, always new ways to connect with these age-old ideas. And for you listening, we'd love to know, what resonates with you from this conversation? Does this make you rethink the role of rituals in your own life?
Yeah.
Let us know.